Oregon State and Oregon meet in the game formerly known as the Civil War, though kind of becoming known that once again. What's it going to be after this one? And is it going to continue? Should it continue? Let's get to it all. Here we go.
You are Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Oregon Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, it is that time once again for Locked On Ducks. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you so much for making this your first listen or your first view of the day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and your number one source to stay up to date with the Ducks. So if you have not already, like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, please, and thank you wherever you listen to or watch this show, which today is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. My man Rian Winter is with me here today at Sports Chat 503 on Twitter and on YouTube. Ryan, currently, this is the last time Oregon and Oregon State are scheduled to play. I don't want this to be the last time that they meet. Call me a sucker for nostalgia and tradition, but I grew up where this game was played every single year. I think it should be played every year. I hope they're able to do with it what they have done with the Apple Cup and find a way to continue the series. I completely understand people who say that is a bigger advantage for Oregon State than Oregon. Okay, valid. That being said, what's happening to Oregon State is completely and utterly wrong. I don't want this to be the last time that Oregon and Oregon State meet for several years, or everyone could kind of forget that this is something we want to continue.
Yeah, obviously, I'm a sucker for nostalgia too. I'm wrapped like a Christmas present in.
You got the old school Oregon jacket on. I remember those collars, man, on that jacket. They don't make those anymore. Yeah, the tight wrists too.
This is heavy in the golf world still. You still see the old timers with these guys out there. Hey, I love this game. You and I are both Oregonians. This game matters to Oregon. A lot of people call this like the state championship, kind of a thing. And every year it matters. And I do fear that the future of it is not going to matter as much. I do want this game to continue to play. I think that's very important to not only the economies of both Eugene and Corvallis. It helps with that one extra game, but it also keeps anything in state. But there could be a time where Oregon's paying Oregon State to play this game because they're at a lower division. And there might be a time, I don't know. Everything's up in the air right now. Everything's up in the air right now. This is a huge game, and I love this game. Personally, I go to as many of these as I can. I can't remember a time that I didn't go to this game, maybe as a child, but I've gone to everyone, and Corvallis and Eugene in my lifetime, basically, to my recollection. And it really matters to me. It's the most important game to me on the schedule for the Ducks every single year. It's my favorite game. It's my favorite time of the year. The whole Thanksgiving to Christmas bowl game, anticipation, all that sort of. And to lose that and to have it replaced with Washington, it does not feel right. It does not feel right at all.
No, it certainly does not. And you make a great point about the game is never going to feel the same. I think that depends. I think that like when you said it, it kind of hit me of, oh, that's right. It's not, you can't ever have a 2009 winner goes to the Rose Bowl. You can't have a season like last year, even where the Ducks or this year win and get to the Pac-12 championship game. Oregon State can't spoil that sort of stuff. I think we won't know entirely what the feel will be. We don't know what Jonathan Smith is going to do. We don't really know what Oregon State's future is going to be, what their conference situation will be. Because here's the thing, Ryan, if they in Washington State stay in the Pac-2, they're essentially going to be treated as independents in college football. And independents, by the way, can put together good schedules, have great records, and compete at a high level. And if you put together a good Notre Dame is an independent. Now, I'm not saying you can get that sort of schedule with historic rivalries with teams like USC and Clemson and Stanford and teams like that. But I look at, like BYU pre-Big 12. they were able to put together a good Power 5 level schedule every year. And in the 12-team playoff, when Oregon State and Oregon as well will be fighting for at-large bids, I think that's how it could factor in, even though it won't be played in November in all likelihood. If it does continue, I think that can still be something and worthwhile depending on what happens with the Beavs.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's the best scenario right now because it looks pretty grim. It looks like it's heading in a way of the Pac-2 is going to try to be a little bit of a life raft for a little bit, but it looks like it's taken on water, and they're probably going to either somehow merge with the Mountain West in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not an expert on it. You, of course, have you've done way more of a deep dive on all that sort of stuff. That's why I want to have you on my channel to talk about this kind of stuff, because you're the guy I like to answer these questions of. But the way I see it personally is it kind of feels like the end of an era. And in college football kind of feels like an end of an era right now. We're moving toward a more professional model of college football. Which
sucks.
It really does. And it's kind of
sucks.
taken a little bit of the life out of it. And we've seen this. We just are late to it. We're so far removed from a lot of this other stuff. Everybody else has already dealt with this. There's been tremendous amount of old rivalries that have been broken up by conference realignment in the past.
Missouri and Kansas.
I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. But we were kind of immune to it because we're all the way out here. And how are you going to break up the West Coast? There's no way that's going to happen. 2 years later, it all's gone. I mean, it's crazy how fast this happened. And the fact that the Washington State Cougs and the Oregon State Beavs are the ones left out is tragic. It's literally a tragedy. And if you were telling a story of college football, it's a tragedy because it had the rug pulled out from underneath them. No one expected this even just 2 years ago, that this was going to be the path that we were on.
Yeah, and I have made my thoughts on the matter very clear. I don't care for any of it. I would have preferred USC and UCLA never left. I mean, think about this.
I agree.
Conference. This is the last week of the Pac-12. Does everybody understand that? When UCLA and Cal kick off on Saturday night, it will be the last regular season Pac-12 football game. Whatever, even if the name of the Pac continues and they put together some other team, that's not the Pac, right? It'll be a new conference. It could be great. It could be fun. It won't be what it is and has been. And that's a wild thing to think about. And I've personally tried to treasure every single waking second, week, moment, game that has transpired this season. And here it is coming to a close. And I do kind of have this feeling of what's the opposite of a catharsis? Because a catharsis is satisfying and positive.
This is a non-satisfying catharsis.
Yeah, that's where you're a high school teacher, so you got to have that word thrown around on the daily in staff meetings.
Milwaukee's throwing that around all the time. No, here's the thing. This is all out of our hands. You and I, everybody else in the college football world are all victims to this thing. We have no control over any of this sort of stuff. None. Because all of us, if we had a vote, would have voted against it. And so I think it brings out sort of the negativity of this thing. And this has kind of been a dark cloud hanging over this whole season. And we knew it'd come to an end at some point. And here it is. It's kind of like the summer girlfriend you had. And you're like, okay, we only got a week left, honey. And I go to the games. I try to embrace all the environment. I love going to these live games. It's really one of my most favorite things to do. And, it really hit me at the Washington State game. And it really hit me at the Cal game. Because it just was like, this is it. This is actually it. Like, we're not going to see the
like Oregon State, we could feasibly play next year or in the coming years, but like Washington State, Cal,
we're not
Stanford.
Playing Cal anymore.
Think about how many great games the Ducks have had with Stanford when the Cardinal were at their peak, and that's just all. It's just all gone, and now we're going to be playing, Ohio State and Michigan and Indiana and Penn State.
Not only that, but it also hit home when I just left 80 degrees in Phoenix playing in shorts and thinking, oh yeah, we're going to trade this to go to Indiana.
Yeah, that's not quite the same. I saw that you got a high five with Dan Lanning after the Arizona State game, because of course you did. That is exactly what Ryan does.
Yeah, dude, you know me.
I do know you. We do know you. Like, it's actually uncanny how you can get a photo with anybody that you want. Phil Knight, Lanning, players, recruits, parents. Ryan's got everybody.
Because we literally grew up within one block away from each other. Literally.
Did you really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So as soon as I say what street I'm from, he's like, "Oh, okay." He goes like this. The security lets me through. You know, he's like, "Come on in. We're good."
Oh man, that's a flex. That's a flex. That's a flex and a half. Well, hold on. We're definitely going to get back to this, because I am not done lamenting the loss of all of it. And I'm never done telling you how great eBay Motors is. Passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
With the read, man.
You got
my new thing on my live stream.
Bring the energy. Always bring the energy.
I say medical grade water. My throat has been really damaged lately.
Dude, you and me both. I was battling an illness over the weekend. I couldn't do Saturday night reaction pods. I had people dropping comments and send me messages like, "Yo, where's the pod? Where's the pod?" And I'm like, guys, I would love to do a podcast right now. I literally would not be able to make it through. I needed some of your medical grade water there.
You know, Bull Run. You know how the Bull Run flows, man. That's medical grade water up here.
Well, Ryan's just always got the inside scoop, no matter what it is. But let's wrap this up before we get to the actual game. We'll get to our predictions as well for this latest edition of the Civil War. I look at what's happening, Ryan. I don't care for it. I don't like it. And like the Arizona States and the Arizona and the Cal match, like, there's nothing more special about playing Indiana and Northwestern and Purdue. And like, there's just so many different schools where I'm like, I don't care. There's no history. I don't know anything about these schools. You know how long it's going to take to build up the sort of affinity or, little things about the matchups that you have with all these teams.
In the conference. How long is the I don't even know the future, what the future holds. There could be a whole conference realignment in 3 years or something. Who knows?
That's a good point. That's another good point. We do really have no idea. I mean, there are television contracts that would make you think it'll go on at least until around 2030.
Sure.
But again, that's what we think.
Right. I mean, think of the change. Think of the change we've had just in the last 20 years, college football. It's radical. 20? Ryan, go with 5. Well,
just 5. Just look at 5.
Yes, go back to like when Washington claims the championship, it's the co-championship, to all the way to now. There's been a tremendous amount of change. And obviously more eyeballs are on it and there's more money in it. So more people are making decisions and it's not us.
No.
Like George Carlin said, there's a big party. It's not us. We're not invited.
No, we're not invited. Though between the two of us, I think it's pretty clear, Ryan, you'd be the more likely one to somehow snag an invite. Your buddy Uncle Phil could probably swing an invite to that particular soiree.
Maybe. Soiree, maybe.
You can make it happen. Yeah. Let's get to the game here, because Oregon's out for revenge after that disaster in Corvallis last season. Just a complete and total collapse. I don't think there's any other accurate way to put it. I mean, defensively, special teams could not have been worse. Offense, no points in the fourth quarter. Really, I mean, everything that had to go wrong went wrong. Oregon comes into this game, got to win to get into the Pac-12 championship game, because Arizona is not losing to Arizona State. Got to win to keep your playoff hopes alive and to have a chance to get revenge against Washington. It could be a great couple of weeks for the Ducks, but it only matters if this one goes the way that Oregon wants to. Do you think that the Ducks are going to get revenge and then I'll ask you a different question about full revenge, and I'll explain that in a moment.
A dish served cold, right? I think the Ducks win this game. I'm really impressed with how the Ducks been playing the last 3 weeks. And, this game has haunted me the whole year because, again, I thought that the Beavs were going to be a very good team.
They are, by the way.
And they are. And they just check all the boxes, right? They're solid on every level. And so, I thought this was going to be a big game. They have been hurt by some injuries. And I do just think that the wind's been taken out of their sails a little bit. Also, they have not played well on the road. And I know it's only 38 whatever miles away, but it is a different environment. And it's going to be an interesting one. I think Oregon just playing better. And, last year, I was thoroughly surprised by the Washington game, right? Now, I didn't expect to have the Utah game the week after where the defense really showed up and played great. And then the Beavs game. That was the most confusing ending to me.
It still doesn't make any sense.
No, but this year we haven't seen that. So I haven't lost faith at all in this year. The Washington game was a great game. Somebody had to lose that game. It's just there were two good teams playing each other. They both didn't screw it up. They both didn't lose the game. They both had the chance to win it. Oregon just didn't win it. And I felt like that was one of the best things could have happened to Oregon right then. Sometimes you need to have a loss to propel you to get more wins. Oregon's played great since that game. Washington hasn't. So Oregon's looking ahead a little bit, and that's dangerous because you got to take care of business this week, like you said, or else you're not getting to anything. You're going back to the Holiday Bowl or whatever. I don't know what bowl. Alamo Bowl.
I think that's probably where it would be.
But it'd probably be Alamo if it all shook
No,
out.
I think
because Arizona.
Yeah. It'd be back to the Holiday Bowl. Like that's what Oregon's playing for here.
Right. And who saw Arizona coming all that way, right? And playing so well at the end and making this push. So yeah, it's a great game, man. And the storylines are out. So I just think the Oregon's better. And I really think they're better on the offensive defensive line. I think they're playing really good. I think Oregon State's offensive line is good, but I think Oregon State's defensive line is going to have an issue with this Oregon offensive line. They're just playing very well and they're very balanced. And if you take away the run, they can pass. If you take away the pass, they can run. Oregon State, I think, is going to be need to be very productive on offense to keep up with Oregon's offense. Oregon's offense is just very potent. And I don't think Oregon State's defense is as good as it was last year. So,
yeah, I think they've taken just kind of a half step back on defense. It was something I talked about over on Locked On Pac-12 a lot with the Beavs, with my guy Carter Baines of beaverbliss.com. And it was, okay, you lose, who is the middle linebacker? Omar Spates. He goes to LSU. You lose Alex Austin and Rajon Wright and Jaden Grant out of the secondary, and that secondary was lethal last year. You can probably see the defense taking a half step back, and it has. It's still a good defensive unit. You look at their numbers, they have still been good. They have not been as good as last year. They've been much better at home than on the road, as you said. They've been better on the road. The last two times they've been away from Reeser, they held Colorado to 19 points. They held Arizona to 27. They lost the game. But again, those are respectable defensive efforts compared to what they did, against Washington State and Cal. They gave up 38 points to the Cougs. They gave up 40 points to the Bears. And, it's an improved Bears offense. They shouldn't have allowed 40 points in that one. I think Oregon is capable of getting there. I'm with you, though, on the defensive line. I think that's a big advantage for Oregon here because last week, Michael Penix was not touched. And if Bo Nix is not touched the way he really hasn't been, the entire 2 seasons of his time at Oregon, it turns out when he's not running for his life at Auburn, he's a really good quarterback. What a concept. If you can't pressure – now, Andrew Chatfield is very good. He has 9 sacks this year. I think that's one of the high watermarks in the Pac-12. He's quietly been really good. He has a quarter of Oregon State's sacks so far this season. If he and the rest of the Beavs can't pressure Bo Nix, I think that's game over. Like right there. If you told me right here, right now, Bo Nix isn't sacked against Oregon State, then I think Oregon can cover the 13.5, 14.5 point line or whatever it is. So I think that's kind of the biggest element here is, do the Ducks just sit there and protect Bo Nix and let him go for 350 to 400 yards? Because the Beavs defense has shown they will allow that if they can't get pressure.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a weird one, but I just think the Beavs' best defense is their offense. If their offense very methodical, obviously everybody knows Martinez, but Deshaun Fenwick's very good running back as well.
Good running backs, very good.
And they just have a nice 1-2 punch. Plus DJ's a big guy, big running backs, hard to bring him down. I'm a big believer in their offense and Jonathan Smith. I do think that there might be a little bit of what we had with the Cristobal year with the conversation around the head coach leaving. I don't know what that does to a locker room. I don't know what that does to a team, but I think that's happening right now to Oregon State. I just hearing a lot of rumors around that. This is a year that Oregon State just didn't do what they wanted to do. And I don't know how disappointing that is to them, but I know that it'll probably affect their play this week. Because had they beat Washington and had this game been to go to the Pac-12 championship game,
great point.
This game would be off the charts. And I just feel like there might just be a little less wind in that sail. And, they might start off strong, but I've been kind of convinced by Beaver fans that Oregon's going to win this one more comfortably than I think.
Yeah, I struggle picking a blowout in a rivalry matchup, and we'll get to that in just a sec, but that is certainly what full revenge would look like for the Ducks. Before we do that, though, have you heard about Game Time? Because let me tell you something that's great. That be Game Time. It's like the Bo Nix of ticketing apps. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. And they're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So I think that revenge would be winning this game and getting to the Pac-12 championship game for the Ducks. But full revenge, Ryan, as I teased earlier in the show, would be holding a 21-point lead for a change. Here's a fun fact, if you were not aware. In each of the last two Civil War contests in which Oregon has won one and lost one, they have had a lead of at least 21 points. In both instances, Oregon State has whittled it down. In 2021, the Ducks were able to hold on and win. In 2022, they were not. So I think that full revenge, Ryan, is assert your dominance, get a big lead, build on the big lead, say, look, we're not here to hand out mercy points for realignment or anything like that. If Oregon plays the way they did against Utah or, heck, against Arizona State, that's something that can definitely happen here for Oregon. What do you think of the keys to just blowing this one up? I've seen pundits from Josh Pate to not even just pundits, but like Oregon State fans who don't feel good about this particular game. Josh Pate thinks Oregon's going to cover 16.5. And I'm like, that's a big number for a rivalry game. How could Oregon get that done?
I don't know, because I look at their schedule. They've lost 3 games by 8 points.
8 total points.
How are you going to blow a team out that has never been blown out this year? Not even close. And, Oregon does have big play capabilities. So does Oregon State. I saw a stat somewhere saying Oregon State has bigger or more explosive plays than Oregon. Maybe only by 1 or 2 or something. But Oregon State is an explosive offense, and they can hang it on you. And I just don't see either team running away with it. Oregon, I think, is the better team because they're more balanced, and I think they have the better defense. And
I think they have higher. I think they have more high-end talent as well. If you're talking about
guys, I would say that too.
I think guys who you're looking at, they certainly win the quarterback battle. Bo Nix and DJ, that's not close. Running backs, I think, is probably a wash. Their backs are really good. Their top 2 receivers, Silas Bold and Anthony Gould are good. Neither one is as good as Troy Franklin.
Yeah. Or even Tez. I would say Tez is very dynamic.
I think Tez is pretty comparable to Bolden and Gould.
I agree.
Those two are good players, and they're smaller, kind of speed guys, possession receivers who can make the big play every now and then. But I think if you were to do that for every single position group, and you were to go corners, linebackers, defensive linemen, safety, like everything like that, it would come out, a net talent advantage to the Ducks here. But guess what? They had that a season ago too. I think it's more pronounced this year, but they had it last year, and Jonathan Smith is a really good coach.
Absolutely. And the X's and O's match up in this game. They know what each other want to do. Jonathan Smith is a really good coach. Like you said, this defense is not going to screw it up. This offense is going to play on schedule. Neither one of these teams really beat themselves. It could be a boring game. I mean, it could be an exciting game. It could be absolutely crazy. I don't know exactly how
it would be boring though.
In the sense that it could be a low. Okay. Some people thought maybe that Washington game was not as exciting because it was low score. They shut Washington out in the second half. So, I mean, I think on the level of some people don't like a pitcher's duel. They like the offense. Chicks dig the long ball, basically. The ideology is that I think this is going to be a phenomenal game, whether or not it's a good game or not. Oregon's going to play well because I think they're on a mission. And I think that this is just another game. And I don't know if this is the right timing for Oregon State. Coming off that Washington game could be pretty detrimental to them. I think that at the end of the year, you have to look at the injury bug too. I think Oregon's in a better healthy spot too. So I think just everything points Oregon's favor, which again could mean that they could stub their toe at the end. We've seen this act before, but I just think this team's different.
Yeah, I think that if Oregon comes out in a lackadaisical fashion and thinks that Oregon State's going to give it to them because the Beavs are all woe is me and lost to Washington, can't make the title game, and now this is our last Pac-12 game ever, I think Oregon can certainly stumble in the spot. But one thing that I have praised Dan Lanning and his staff for is the way they prepare this team and motivate them every single week. They do a great job, better than any Oregon team, I think, since the Chip Kelly days of playing to a standard. Like if you look at the games they've played this year, what's their worst effort? Probably Texas Tech.
Probably
Texas Tech or USC. I would say those are the worst games Oregon has played this year. They were plagued in a big way by penalties, and they still ended up winning the game by at least 7 points. So I think that's just a testament. Like you then look at the other 9 games they've played, and they have come and played at a high level every single week. And yes, that includes the Washington game. So let's close with our predictions here, Ryan, in the last Pac-12 Civil War. And I think after the game, I want Oregon to win. I'd love for him to win by 30 points. That would be great for, stylistically in the college football playoff picture as well, because it's a really, really crowded field.
Yeah.
But I think after the game, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I think I'll be happy. I'll be really happy if Oregon wins, obviously, because they'll have a chance to go to they'll go to the title game. I'm going to that game. I get to cover it, which I'm absolutely stoked for, like all of that. But then I think I'm going to look back and feel that was the last one. That was the last Pac-12 Civil War we're ever going to see, and I think that sucks. But I'll start with my prediction here. Yes, I think Oregon can win and win big. I do think Oregon State's a good team. I think they're going to come out not with a woe is me attitude, our season is over, but more of a, hey, we got nothing to lose. Let's go end their season and what they're trying to accomplish here. So I'll take Oregon to win 35-24.
Good. That's a good number. Yeah, I could see it being very close. I don't know if it's in. I've been a little bit more conservative than some of my other Duck brethren out there with their score predictions this year, and I've been happily surprised the fact that they blew them out of the water in many of those cases. I think this is probably within the number. If they say what's the number, 2 touchdowns. So, I could easily see this being a 10-point game and being somewhere along that 35-25 kind of window. 37-27 type of thing.
Is you going to go 37-27 official?
I'll go 35-25.
35-25. So he's tossing in probably a 2-point conversion there from Jonathan Smith. That tracks. Guy loves to roll the dice and go for two. We know that very well as Duck fans because Lanning does the same sort of thing. But I think Oregon gets it done, plays in the Pac-12 championship game where I will be next week. So hopefully that comes to fruition. Rian Winter, Sports Chat 503 on YouTube and on Twitter. Ryan, appreciate it as always, man.
My guy, always a pleasure. You do a great job. Thank you what you do for college football and us Ducks.
Yeah, you're very welcome, man. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy the game. Be loud at Autzen and go Ducks.